He had his gun, so he just swung it open.
I start to notice that, the atmosphere feels a little bit weird.
First thing he seen was this 6.5 foot tall, broad shoulder, dark hair. That freaked him out.
We hadn't talked to her about like life and death and what any of that means. She's 3 years old,
So we turned around. Suddenly there's a whole tree falling across the road.
And she was describing to us that, there was a deceased person that she could see visually.
You're listening to Cryptid Clues, where we tackle the ever-expanding history and mystery of monsters and supernatural madness every Monday and Friday. You can find us at CryptidClues.ca for more information, or even check out exclusive content such as interviews and D&D campaigns at patreon.com/CryptidClues.
Welcome back for another episode of Haunt of the Grassman. I'm your Dungeon Master and Cryptid Controller, Reuben Olson, joined by our first player for the campaign, our main character. Take it from me, my friend, and go wild with your intro.
Well, my character, Bryce Carter, basically wanted to take his daughter out on a camping trip to an area that he got to explore a lot when he was younger with his father. For whatever reason, he no longer went there with his father, and his father refused to go back. But that didn't dismiss the whole possibility of him wanting to relive his childhood memory there by sharing that experience with his daughter. So Bryce and his daughter Meredith ventured out, and after a little bit of tribulation getting out there and some disagreeing points, they finally got settled in for the night at their camping spot. There was a few odd discrepancies that were found around their campsite, but nothing that was cause for concern. After going to sleep that night, Bryce realized that his daughter wanted something out from the Jeep, but thought that would be left till morning. When morning came around, the Jeep was completely flipped over and destroyed, and Meredith was nowhere to be found. We're in a position where we don't have cell reception either on our cell phone. So we're trying to figure out where exactly Meredith has gone to.
Exactly. Sounds like you were paying attention, which is good because you're my only player so far. And for people that are maybe sort of new to Cryptid Clues, this is Taylor Field doing some talking over here. I'm Reuben Olson again. He introduced himself as his character, but failed to introduce himself in real life.
My real life character is no longer, it ceases to exist. I am forever known as Bryce Carter now.
Yeah, amazing. All right, so you find yourself outside of the flipped over Jeep. Meredith's nowhere to be found. Your heart is just racing. You're going through all the possibilities in your head. What could have happened to her?
I mean, just to be able to flip a Jeep, you have to be pretty dang strong. I know the gentleman at the gas station said that there were bears around, but I've never really known of a bear to just flip around and then rifle through all of your belongings. And to throw a log through the window, that's pretty obscure. Well, my daughter mentioned a Bigfoot, but I didn't think that would be a likely thing, but with the fact that the road is blocked off because of these two big boulders, people have gone missing. Now I'm starting to wonder, maybe there is something here. Is it possible to kind of examine the area just to kind of see if there's like any hair or maybe smell anything?
Yeah, give me a survival check.
We're looking at 6 + 5.
Again, we go back to those footprints around the Jeep. You do find a couple of large toe prints. You think to yourself, looking more and more likely like there's a Sam Squanch running around. And you think to yourself, oh, my wife's going to kill me. Especially if Bigfoot doesn't.
Well, I'm thinking, are there any tracks going off towards like the road from where we came from?
No, not that you can see. It kind of looks like it circled around the Jeep and then just disappeared into thin air.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go back to the campsite.
Alrighty. So you go back down through your Trailblaze Trail that you hacked away last episode. Mm-hmm. You go back down to your camp. You see the cold stone circle that no longer has a fire in it. Your tent, Meredith's tent, which is wide open. Again, her sleeping bag is also just flung open as if she'd left in a hurry.
Is her Nintendo Switch in the tent?
Oh, that's something you didn't really look for. Why don't you roll me investigation?
13 + 3.
You don't see a switch in the tent. However, you do find a necklace that she was wearing, something that her mother gave her.
No way to tell if it was taken off or if she had it fall off. Am I able to inspect the area? I'm curious to see if there's any footprints kind of going around the tent here.
So as you look around the tent, you kind of hear something almost like flitter through the wind. And you see a strange light dancing to and fro between your tent and Meredith's tent.
Okay, I'd like to go and inspect this.
What do you do with the light? It just looks like a small orb kind of pulsating a little bit.
So it's just floating on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to talk to it.
What would you like to say?
I'd like to say, where's my daughter?
You see the light kind of circle around you a whole bunch of times really quickly, starting kind of lower up and moving up to your head. And as it reaches the top of your head, it kind of stops right in front of your face and flashes a couple of times. And then it disappears.
Interesting. It definitely responded to me, but it didn't give me any kind of direction. It just flashed. Maybe like a warning? A signal or something? I'm going to go back to that shredded tent. I'm going to head over there and see if there's anything new.
So you head over to that shredded tent, and a small huff gets your attention. To the east, so back the other way, a herd of white-tailed deer are drinking out of the lake with a large buck on watch. It's a miracle they haven't noticed you.
Okay. I definitely don't want to trigger them or be noticed by them. Let them do their own thing. And is that before or while I arrive at the tent?
That's while you're arriving at the tent. You see all the deer behind you.
Okay. Okay. Now that I'm at the tent site with the more adequate amount of lighting from the sun, I would like to just kind of like explore and just kind of look around and do a proper like perception.
Go ahead and roll perception.
9 + 3.
Kind of looks the same as it did before.
I'm going to call out Meredith.
So you're calling for your daughter again, and that's when the herd of deer flip up their tails for a brief moment, and they all look over in your direction. Just as suddenly, they quickly look the opposite direction as a loud snap comes from the woods behind them, and all of the deer charge right towards you.
I'm going to move to get out of the way of the deer.
All right, you're going to have to roll me an athletics check or an acrobatics check, whatever you prefer.
Let's do athletics. 18 + 4.
Nice. That's a pretty darn good roll. So you hear the thumping of their hooves darting towards you. Clouds of dust are kicked up behind them as they charge. The buck comes right towards you, and he lowers his antlers to try and swish you out of the way, but you sidestep back towards the tent and just barely manage to duck out of the way, avoiding getting hit.
I want to know what that snap was. I'm going to head over to that direction.
Roll me a perception check.
God dang. 2 + 3.
You don't see anything, but from the direction of the snap, you see a rock fly out of the woodline and land close to your feet.
I'm going to shut out Meredith again.
In response, another rock comes out and lands at your feet, and you notice that the woods are quiet. There are no insects buzzing around. It even seems as though the lake has calmed down. From within the silence, you hear a faint whoop.
I'm going to retreat, and I'm going to go back towards my tent.
Your tent is between where you are and where that sound came from.
What do I have on my person? Do I still have my axe?
You have everything that's on your character sheet. And while you're looking at that, another rock lands at your feet, but this time it did not come from the front.
Which direction did it come from?
It came from behind you.
Shit.
And this rock is a little bit bigger than the others and looks like it was meant to hit you. Again, another rock comes from the front, landing in front of you. Just a small pebble, not meant to hurt you. But from behind, a large rock thunks against the ground just several feet away from you.
I'm going to push forwards towards where the smaller rocks are coming from.
How far do you want to go? Are you going into your tent? Are you going to go running that direction and just crash through the bush?
Well, I'd like to go into my tent, grab the notebook, and grab the toolbox.
So the toolbox is pretty hefty. Imagine carrying an actual toolbox with you. You can take something out of it if you want and pocket one of the tools.
There was a saw in there, wasn't there?
There was a saw in there. That's a little hard to pocket, but you could carry it if you really want to.
No, I best leave it in there then. I'd like to have the mobility with my hand axe. As long as I know it's still in there, that's fine. I'll leave it in there, but I will definitely take the notebook and pocket that.
The fear has definitely gotten to you as you notice that it's no longer morning. It's actually late afternoon. You've been trapped here with the rocks being thrown at you, and time doesn't feel like it's passing normally.
And how far away is that tree with the cooler in it?
It's behind you, back towards the tattered tent.
I'm going to make a play for that tree.
Are you going to run over there? Are you going to be stealthy about it and try to sneak?
I think I'm not going to run. I think I'm going to, I don't want to sneak either. I think I'm going to walk. I'm going to slowly walk.
You step out of your tent and you calmly walk back towards the tree. There's no more rocks being thrown now. You see the couple of big rocks that were thrown your direction before. Hefty. Those hit you. They might have done a lot of damage. And then there's all the smaller pebbles that were thrown around everywhere. As you approach the tree where the cooler was, you notice that the cooler is hanging open, empty. The jug of water that was in the cooler is smashed open on the ground.
I'm going to jump up to that branch.
That branch is about 10 feet up in the air. If you want to jump up to the branch, give me an acrobatics roll and say you have to beat a 15.
8. That's not happening.
So you jump up and your fingers just graze the bottom of the branch.
The food is gone. The water is done. Cooler's done. But nothing is being thrown anymore. I'm gonna need some food here at some point. Okay, maybe let's go check out that dock, if it's still light out.
As you step onto the crickety dock, water kind of gets your feet wet a little bit as it splashes up with the weight of you on the dock. But it's a fairly empty dock. You walk to the end of it. You can stand there and look across the lake if you want.
Well, I'm gonna do just that. I want to kind of just like look around and get my proper bearings here.
Okay, it's a little foggy. You can just barely make out the hint of the tree line, far beyond on the other side of the lake. Almost feels like a horizon at this point, as it's so far away.
Would I be able to... actually, okay. Don't have a boat, but I would like to fashion something out of this dock, maybe.
So you'd have to go back and get your saw, let's say, and it would probably take some time to fashion, like a raft or whatever.
Yeah, we'll go back, we'll retrieve the saw.
So you go back, you grab the saw, you head back out to the dock, but just before you hit the dock itself, there's another loud thunk as a giant rock gets thrown again at you from the wood line. And this time you hear a whoop, whoop.
Yeah, I think I need to be on the water. I don't think I can afford to be on land right now.
Just as you think about diving into the water, across the surface of the water, you see that orb of light again, hurriedly fleet away from the sound and float towards the southeast before it flickers in and out between the trees. It stops just for a moment as it passed you, almost to acknowledge you.
And it went to the southeast?
Yeah.
I would like to saw this dock off the land.
You're going to saw the dock off the land? Oh God, okay. Strength check. If you want to do this in a timely fashion, you got to beat a 15.
I got 17 without the plus.
As you do this, another large rock gets thrown at you. Roll me a quick dexterity roll to see if you can dodge this. This would be, let's use your acrobatics.
11 plus 1, so 12.
Okay, so you dodge the large rock thrown at you. It hits the first peg of the dock. And at this point, the sound coming from the woods is getting angrier and angrier. And the wind starts to blow towards the east as well.
The wind is blowing to the east now. Okay. Yeah, I need to get this dock cut.
Yeah, so you've successfully cut off. You sawed through the first peg.
Okay.
You sawed through the second peg. You've detached the dock from the first two pegs, but there's 2 more pegs in the middle and 2 more pegs at the very end, as that's how docks work. So it's actually quite deep down, thrust into the lake. You'll have to bend over the side of the dock and saw inwards.
Okay, we're doing it.
Okay, you've made the strength check, so you can do it. As you saw off the middle section now, you realize that your weight is too much as it starts to sink inwards. It's still supported by the end, so you can saw it off if you want, but who knows how it's going to hold up. We're going to leave that up to fate. If you don't saw it off, you can definitely try and fashion something out of it later.
Oh man, but the aggression is getting a little bit more wild, but
As you're doing this, the sunset is once again glowing orange. Time seems to have passed really quickly. The shock and fear has probably settled in quite a bit by now. You're starting to regain your senses of time, but it seems that frightening things keep happening all of a sudden.
I know Meredith, we'll have to track her down at some point, but this is just not going my way right now without really knowing what's going on, but something is definitely there. Something is definitely pissed off that I'm here. So I think I need to offer it something. I'm going to... That fishing rod is still in the tent, is it not? Or was that left in the Jeep?
We'll say you brought it down to the tent. That's totally fine.
I'm going to quickly go and retrieve it, and we're going to do some fishing.
Okay, so you...
I know, I'm a horrible father.
So you run back to the tent. You grab your fishing rod. You grab the tackle.
The green one.
The green one. So you have the green lure attached to it. You run back to the dock. There's not really any rocks being thrown at you now at this point. It seems to have calmed down once again. So some more warning shots were fired. The sound of insects buzzing comes back, and you see a couple of bloop bloops as the water ripples at the surface as fish come to feed.
Okay, perfect. We're going to cast, and we're going to reel ourselves in one.
Roll me a d20. You're using that lure, so you got to roll a 1 first of all to find out if the lure just snaps off. Beat a 1.
I rolled a 2.
You rolled a 2. Oh, wow. So you just barely got away with it. Now you get to roll me your fishing skills. So simply roll me a survival check with advantage because you're using the lure. And to catch something, you're going to have to get above a 10.
I got a 12 plus 5.
So that gets you above 15, which is going to get you a decent catch. So you catch a 6-inch rainbow trout.
I'll keep that. I'm going to do one more cast, see if I can catch one more thing.
Roll again if you're using the same lure, and you got to beat 2.
I got a 3.
Oh my goodness. What a lucky lure. So next time you roll, you got to beat a 3.
Okay.
Now you can roll me survival again with advantage.
5. With the advantage, I could roll another one, right?
Correct.
15 plus 5.
Ooh, so that's an unnatural 20. You catch a thick boy, a really large cutthroat trout. And it's one of those fish you could hold up and say, oh, it was this big. Well, it really wasn't that big, but it's double the size of the rainbow trout.
There's no way I'm not going to chance that lure. A 2 and a 3, that was just insane. But I digress. I'm going to take the bigger fish, and I'm going to prop that up where the tree line is, where the bigger rocks were coming from.
And then what are you going to do with the smaller fish? I mean, you're in survival mode right now. Your daughter's missing. You're scared as all can be. Currently, there's really no way back to the town unless you were to walk for hours. But you'd basically be, I don't want to say giving up at that point, but you know that the best chance of finding somebody is in the first 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Meredith at this point has been missing for, from what you can tell, about 12 hours now.
Okay. I am going to start another little fire. I'm going to cook this fish.
So you do that just fine. You have a nice hearty fish meal if you'd like to eat one.
I would like to.
So you fill up, you're good. I imagine for a water, just drink out of the lake. What do you want to do? Boil some water with the fire?
I'm definitely going to boil water.
Okay. What do you have to boil water in?
My water bottle won't work.
I'll say you have some water in your water bottle if you want to drink from it.
Oh. Okay, I will finish that off, but I'm still going to try and boil it. Is it possible that I use the toolbox?
Tell me what would be in a toolbox that you could use to boil water with.
Oh, I mean the actual toolbox itself, not a tool inside.
So the toolbox was sitting inside that tattered tent. It's pretty rusty.
So it's probably not really, really good to boil water in. What is included in a mess kit?
Plates, some silverware, a couple of small cooking supplies. You might actually have a very small pot in there.
I did bring that stove down too, didn't I?
So you probably have a little pot.
I'll do a quick little check.
You have a small pot.
Okay.
I'm going to give that one to you because you have a mess kit.
Okay, brilliant. I'm going to use the small pot. I'm going to boil enough water to fill up my water bottle.
Ooh, very smart.
And then take a good few swigs too, just so I'm reset.
Ah, tastes like boiled from metal. Absolutely disgusting, but most likely safe.
I'm going to quickly go and inspect and see if anything took that fish.
From what you can see, nothing has taken the fish yet. Some flies buzzing around it.
Okay.
It's also within eyesight, too. I mean, you're at your campfire. You propped it up against the tree, probably closer to where the cooler was, I imagine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can still see it. It's definitely just sitting there.
I need to find a clue here as to my daughter. So while that fish is there, I think I'm going to just pack my flashlight. I got my notebook still. I got my axe. I am going to now go southeast to where that light went.
So as you head southeast, you approach a large circular pit that rolls into view. It looks to be about 20 feet wide, hollowed out, big segment of earth. In the middle is a large upside-down pine tree centered in it. Sturdy stumps still clumped and suspended at the top. The roots fall limp like a weeping willow. Roll me perception.
10 plus 3.
Well, if you'd like to have advantage on that, it is starting to get dark now as the sunset goes away. You can use your flashlight if you want to re-roll.
I would love to use my flashlight.
So roll for your flashlight. You got to beat a 1.
16.
So next time you got to roll above a 2. And now you can roll your perception again.
16 perception plus 3.
In the bottom of the pit, nestled against the tree, is a withered adult corpse. He is missing his right arm, but has a well-conditioned looking hunting rifle slung over his left shoulder.
Okay, we're going to climb down there. We're going to take that rifle.
It's a bit of a steep pit, so you want to move carefully. Roll me athletics and beat a 10.
12 plus 4.
Perfect. So you go down the steep sides of the dirt pit. Your feet kind of skid a little bit as you reach the bottom, and you can approach the corpse.
I'm going to grab the gun immediately.
So you grab the hunting rifle that's slung over his left shoulder. I'm going to give you some stuff to write down now, since this is a weapon that you can use.
Okay.
So get your pencil and paper ready. So a hunting rifle is a ranged weapon. It also counts as a martial weapon. It's 8 pounds. Damage is 2d10 piercing. Uses ammunition. Its range is 80 feet or a maximum range of 240 feet with disadvantage. It's two-handed to use and takes an action to reload.
Does it have a scope on it like binoculars?
It does not.
Okay, just iron sights.
So it has a limited number of shots before it can be reloaded. We'll say that it has 5 shots.
Okay.
Now, currently, the gun itself is not loaded.
And there's no ammo around, from what I can tell.
Well, you haven't really inspected a whole lot yet. There is a corpse in front of you.
Let's give this corpse a very thorough examination.
So in his pockets are 6 rounds of ammunition, which you can note down with your rifle. And as you pull out the ammunition, you feel what almost feels like a 7th bullet at first. But it's not. It's got a little hollow bit to it. And you realize that it's a small iron key.
I'm going to take the key, but I'm not going to use it yet. I want to just look around on the ground. Is there anything else down in this pit?
Well, down in the bottom of the pit, you notice that there's some torn clothes, probably off the corpse, and not much else.
I'm going to climb out of this hole then for now.
So as you climb out of the dirt pit, I'm not going to make you roll again because you did such a good job getting down. The woods once again go silent as you reach the top. Ahead of you is a large bush, a big berry bush. And out of this bush, a black bear rears up on its hind legs. It doesn't seem to care about you at first as it shakes its head violently, upset. It turns its snout away from you and stares intently into the woodline. Roll me perception.
14 plus 3.
Ooh. So in the woodline, you notice something 11 feet tall. Reddish brown hair. You can see that it's looking not at you, but intently at the black bear. Its brows furrowed before it disappears behind the tree. And as it does, you feel a thickening in the air, as if something moved. The black bear lets out a growl and looks back at you. I want you to roll me initiative.
My initiative is that this is the end of the preview. Be sure to tune back into our regular scheduled episodes every Monday and Friday where we tackle cryptids of all calibers and don't abruptly end our episodes. And if you have any questions or want to connect with us, send us an email, cryptidclues@gmail.com, or you can find us on our main website, cryptid-clues.ca, and our social media channels, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Take care, everybody.